Welcome to Cars Yeah, show number 2168. Be prepared to be inspired.
This is Cars Yeah, where you'll enjoy interviews with inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Mark Green is here to provide you with a fuel injection of automotive inspiration. So get in, sit down, buckle up, and get ready for a wild ride here on Cars Yeah.
Hello, inspiring automotive enthusiasts, and welcome to Cars Yeah. Today I'm in beautiful Napa, California, with a nice cab in my hand with a very special guest who makes this cab by the name of Steve Natale. Steve, welcome back to Cars Yeah. Do you have any gear, and are you ready to release the clutch?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mark.
We'll have some fun. Now, I said welcome back. That's because Steve was a guest way back in August of 2016. He was guest number 572. I've talked to a few people since you were last on because now you're number 2168. So a lot's changed in our lives since then, right?
Yeah, I'm honored to be back. Thank you.
I'd love to have you back, and we'll learn about what you're up to these days. But I didn't ask you this question when you were on the show before. What's one little thing that people may not know about you, Steve?
They probably didn't know that I make wine.
Well,
and that's kind of
I alluded to that when we started, and I was kind of hoping you would say that. Since you were last on the show, you moved to Napa and you're making wine, among other car things or car-related things. What's with that?
We bought a property that had 50 Cabernet Sauvignon vines on it and didn't know anything about making wine. And got into the hobby and started making it, and we're having a lot of fun with it. Got into the whole wine culture here up in Napa. There's a lot of wine people and old car people up here, and we're just having a good time with it. You know, I'm Italian, so I have to make wine. At some point, if you're Italian, you have to make wine.
Yeah, I was teasing you. Natale cab kind of works really well, I think. You need to design a special label. So the vines that were on your property, I know a lot. I don't know anything about wine, but I do know what tastes good, at least to me. That's about all I know. But when it comes to vineyards and vines, any idea how old yours are?
Oh, yeah, they were 9 years old when we bought the property, so now they're coming up on 11 years old.
Okay. Well,
so they're well established. Yeah. The previous owners had been making wine previously, and so everything was in place. All irrigation system was all professionally installed at some point, so we just walked into it.
Nice.
I just had to learn.
You just recently harvested, right?
Yes, just harvested, and so I was literally knee-deep in wine here. Yes, I just have to stick one foot in the barrel, you know, in the crush. Got to do it, just to say. I stomped it with my feet.
I just have to ask, you did wash your feet before you crushed this wine we're about to drink, right?
Yeah, washed my feet, scrubbed them good, and then jumped in there. Had to do it.
Good. Well, I love it. Next time I see you and I say, why are your feet purple? Now I'll know why. So,
yeah, the guy with the purple feet at the beach, that's me.
That's you. Yeah. Well, let me give you a proper introduction because you've been doing some new cool things. Steve Natale has been obsessing about old cars since he was a little kid playing with his Matchbox toys. Over the years, he's been involved in nearly every aspect of the collector car scene, from being a partner in a rent-a-wreck franchise, a vintage car dismantling business, a restoration shop, and buying and selling old cars with a dealer's license. More recently, he's become known for the many classic car articles and photographs that he's had published in magazines both in the US and the UK. He has also done work for the Black Hawk Museum and the Pebble Beach Concours d'Elegance. His latest venture is his popular and rapidly growing YouTube show titled In the Garage with Steve Natale. And by the way, yeah, Steve still plays with Matchbox cars. We'll be back in just a moment, but first a word from our sponsors. They keep the gas in the tank here, so give them a little love, and we'll be right back. Covercraft's newest 5-layer indoor cover is especially engineered for indoor use, providing maximum dust protection when your vehicle's stored in the garage. Your 5-layer indoor cover is custom tailored with Covercraft's attention to detail, form, and fit with the quality and attention to detail that's been their standard since 1965. Even if your vehicle is always inside, dust and fallout can damage the paint, and an extra layer of soft, breathable material protects from accidental bumps and rubs. Covercraft protects cars, trucks, motorcycles, RVs, trailers, and watercraft too. Every one of my vehicles is protected with a Covercraft cover, custom fit to fit the car like a glove. And I have a deal for you. If you use the code YEAH21 at covercraft.com, you'll get 10% off your order plus free shipping. That's right, 10% off and free shipping. Simply use the code YEAH, YEAH21 at checkout. Covercraft, protecting the things that move you. I was tired of my rates for my collector car insurance going up every year for no explainable reason. My carrier seemed to be turning into a media company versus an insurance company, and I realized that a portion of my policy premium was paying for all those so-called free media goodies. So I did my homework, I talked to knowledgeable collectors, shopped around, and discovered American Collectors Insurance. They've been serving the collector car hobby since 1976. You last that long by properly serving your customers' insurance need, not with a lot of fluff. ACI is ranked the #1 online collector car insurance provider according to Google, Trustpilot, Facebook, and they offer their real person guarantee live support. No never-ending phone loops when you need help. Plus, because you don't use your classic car as a daily driver, you could save up to 40% compared to regular auto insurance. American Collectors Insurance provides agreed value policies. So if you experience a total loss to your collector vehicle or it's stolen, you'll be paid the amount listed on your declaration page, less any deductibles, of course. No ifs, ands, or buts. Give them a call today and ask for your free quote at 866-ACI-YEAH. That's 866-224-9324. Tell them you're a friend of mine, Mark Greens at Cars Yeah. American Collectors Insurance. Classic car insurance designed by collectors for collectors. Auto Geek's Blackfire SiO2 Spray Sealant. It's a spray-on, wipe-off sealant that's quick, safe, and easy to clean and protect your vehicles. I love using it on all my cars. Auto Geek's Blackfire SiO2 Spray Sealant is a spray-on, wipe-away sealant that uses SiO2 ingredients to provide a slick, brilliant, and long-lasting shine. Silicon dioxide is known to be one of the most effective ingredients in car care products, and Blackfire Spray Sealant takes advantage of every stunning feature it has to offer. This sealant will protect your paint from road film, dirt, and other common contaminants while providing an impeccable, long-lasting, hydrophobic surface that forces water to sheet and bead on your paint for months. Go to autogeek.net to get yours and for the best product selections on the internet today, along with their skilled technical support. Autogeek.net is where I go for all my detailing needs. That's autogeek.net. Check them out today. So, Steve, we are back. So since you were last on the show, you've started a bunch of new things, but I want to really focus on your In the Garage YouTube page because YouTube, my goodness, you think about YouTube, it really has not been around that long, but it is amazing. I mean, I don't even watch really TV anymore. I just watch YouTube. I recently had Richard Rawlings of Fast and Loud and his many other TV shows as a guest here, and he doesn't even have a TV show on TV anymore other than reruns. He's got his own YouTube page. So it sounds like you're moving in the same direction of a lot of these folks. So tell me, how did this all come about?
Yeah, we started to make a TV show. It was The Getaway with Steve Natale. We did a pilot episode. We had some interest in Hollywood. Never got picked up. We might make another run at it, but I was reading some statistics, and 20% of TV viewership now is user-created content, meaning essentially YouTube, and growing. And that's a large segment. More people are going towards streaming, cutting the cord. I know I do. I have a Roku. I just stream, and I do watch a lot of YouTube, and I started interviewing people, and everybody says, yeah, we just cut the cord. We don't do cable TV anymore. We watch YouTube. And I'm like, let's just do a YouTube show about what I really love, and that's cars. And so that's how it's got started. I have a executive producer, director that works with me, and his son's also a really great cinematographer. So we got together, and I teamed up with my friends here, and we're making a show and having a lot of fun.
Well, I think it's great. Back in 2019, I did my own TV show, self-produced, and it was on in 2019. We had shot half of the following year, and then this thing called COVID came along and wiped everything out because we couldn't go shoot, and you know the rest of the story. And I've thought ever since then, because I've not brought it back, it was a very expensive venture. I had to raise some money to do it, and as you know, you've had a little experience dealing with networks and these major TV shows, and I just found that a lot of them have said, well, yeah, okay, we'll run your show, but we're not going to pay you. We own the rights to your show, and you still want to do it? And you kind of look at that and you go, why would I do that? I'm not sure why when this thing called YouTube is. So one of the things that comes up many times when I talk to people like this is, and most YouTube watchers probably ask this question because they don't really know, how do you make money on YouTube with a show to pay for all the work it takes? Because I've seen your show. It's really well done. And I've done a show and it is not cheap to do. It takes some time and effort to do it pretty well. So how does that work, the monetization side?
Well, the monetization side, and we haven't made any money yet, so we're just in a building stage. However, you need 4,000 viewership hours in 1 year in a 12-month period, as well as a minimum of 1,000 subscribers. I have well over 1,000 subscribers, and I'm coming up on the 4,000 pretty soon, total viewership hours. And then they'll start to monetize through commercials and so forth. And to be honest with you, I don't know all the tiny little details of. It's kind of a complicated cocktail of different ways to make money on YouTube. You can sell things on YouTube. They have sponsorship sharing opportunities where somebody can advertise on your channel, and if they buy a car cover from that car cover company that's advertising on your channel, then you get a piece of that. So there's all different ways. You can make it from multiple different ways, and I'm going to attempt them all. It's just fun.
Well, you mentioned another thing, and I'm right there with you. I'm almost abandoned television. There's not much on, and I keep wanting to cut our cable. My wife likes sports, and she likes to watch it live, and apparently it's a little more hard to do without cable TV. But you look at it, and there's literally thousands of channels, and there's nothing really to watch, at least from my perspective. But I enjoy YouTube. I follow some YouTube channels, and they don't even have any relation. Some of them don't have any relation to cars, but they're just interesting and they're fairly well done. They get better and better. And you look at their viewerships, 1 million, 4 million. I just watched the guy this morning. He's got 12 million subscribers. And now he's been doing this for 15 plus years. So you got to build it up, as they say, but it's pretty amazing. And my hat's off to you for what you're doing. So tell our listeners here that have not watched your channel, In the Garage with Steve Natale, what's the show all about?
Well, my problem is I like everything. So it's not...
That's right, wine and cars.
It's cars. Cars is a very broad subject, as you know. There's everything from hot rods to, brassy or touring cars to race cars. I like everything, so I decided to make the show about all different types of cars and all different types of people that collect these cars. And so I'm doing live coverage at events. I'm profiling certain makes and models. I did a show, interviewed a guy who does lowriders. I've done racing cars. I've done everything you can think of, Pebble Beach Concours and everything else in between. Or I'll just see a car in a parking lot, and I'm like, this is such a real cool car. I'm going to capture this car. I just love it. And rather than target one specific car audience, I decided to just go all the way across the board in everything, like I say, from muscle cars to luxury cars and everything else in between. And I think people that like cars also have interest in other things. Even a guy that collects nothing but muscle cars likes to see an old Rolls Royce once in a while or something like that. It's interesting, even though you may not be totally into it. And then most car people I know have an unquenchable thirst for knowledge for other cars, and they're interested in learning. And we're just having a good time. We're keeping it light and fun and enjoyable and not making anything too long, lengthy, or too serious. And I think we've kind of hit on something here.
So maybe you should call it In and Out of the Garage with Steve Natale.
Yeah.
Since it sounds like you're all over the place.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. And we're traveling around, filming things, and I'm just having a lot of fun, and I think the fact that I'm having fun kind of comes through. That's what my producer says. And so it looks like if you're having fun, the audience is too. I think that's clearly the case here. And you can tell even from your podcast, Mark, that you're having fun with your guests, and it comes through, and it's enjoyable to listen to.
Well, I always say what I'm doing is like Forrest Gump's box of chocolates, because many of my guests I've never met until they called. I've never even spoken to them. Now, you and I know each other. We run into each other every year. We saw each other on the lawn at Pebble last month and had some fun there. But I always say that Forrest Gump's box of chocolates, I never know what I'm going to get, but it's always a little bit tasty. And yeah, hopefully that does come through. And I appreciate your comments, and it certainly does with you. Do you have any mentors or driving inspirations, as I like to call them, when it comes to what you're doing now on YouTube?
Definitely Jay Leno's YouTube show, not the television show, but the YouTube show I've been watching for years. And I've always enjoyed that. And then things that Donald Osborne is doing with Drain Museum, very enjoyable to watch. And both those gentlemen are very well versed in cars and very knowledgeable. And I learned something. You can never stop learning. Never. I don't like to call myself an expert at anything. So that's where you get into trouble once you say you're an expert. Those are two guys I've always admired very much, both as people, and I like their shows.
You know, it's funny because the day we're recording your show here, Donald is my guest today. So you listeners, if you missed my talk with Donald, he's been on the show a bunch of times. I ran into him at the Gooding auction during Car Week, and he said, hey, I'd like to come back on and talk about our come up Audrain's Motorworks Week. They're having a wonderful week of all sorts of events. In fact, I really wish I could get back there and go see this. I'm going to make a definite plans to go see it next year because it sounds fantastic. But Donald's expertise, and of course, Jay Leno's, I mean, geez, you put those two guys together and it'd be hard to beat the knowledge those two guys have, right?
Oh, yeah. And they're such nice people, too. And I definitely want to go to that event in Newport. I might be on the same plane with you, Mark, because I can't make it this year, but I want to go next year.
Well, we'll make sure we meet up there because after talking with Donald, I mean, it's incredible what they built in a very short time with Audrain and with their Linkage magazine, which I promote here on Cars Yeah, and all the events they're doing there. So it's kind of like a mini Pebble, but it's just so inclusive of so many different things. So, yeah, it's one of the best parts of running into the many people you and I run into. We're going to take a short break and thank our sponsors. When we come back, I want to talk a little bit about challenges with what you're doing. So keep that thought in mind, and we'll be right back. Linkage. It's a new quarterly publication and website that covers the automotive market, driving, restoring, collecting, and discovering your passion for motor vehicles. Linkage is about experiences, opinions, and values. Linkage is an actual informed, reasoned opinion based on first-hand experiences. A talented Linkage team covers the automotive world, the people who share your passion and mine, smart, considered, rational, and experienced opinions, ones you can learn from and grow. That includes our passion that drives auctions and the collector car market. So come with me and join us on this journey. And be sure to use the code CARSYEAH when you subscribe, and they'll give you $10 off. Boom! Linkage, geared for the automotive life. Subscribe today at linkagemag.com. TechForce is a charity of choice here at Cars Yeah. Auto techs are in high demand, but the supply, it's critically short. For every one tech who graduates school, there's 5 jobs waiting for him. Said another way, 4 technician jobs go unfilled for every technician graduate. Lots of young people love cars, but don't know how to turn that passion into their careers. TechForce Foundation shows them through career exploration, technical education, and the workforce development solutions. Join Cars Yeah in supporting TechForce Foundation and its mission to solve the technician shortage by donating at techforce.org today. So let's talk about this challenge question. I asked all my guests this question, and many people, when they hear you're a YouTuber, kind of like when I started podcasting, I can't tell you how many eyes rolled and looked at me. They either said, "What's a podcast?" Now, this was 9 years ago. Or they said, "Oh, you're going to try to be one of those guys." And I would assume it's kind of still the same with YouTube, although that is growing. It's becoming a lot more credible. But when it comes to putting the show of yours together, what are some of the many challenges that you run up against?
Oh, one of the challenges is sound. It'll be somewhere I'm trying to record something, and there'll be copyrighted music in the background that's playing, and I can't use it, or some other noise will come in. So noise canceling is always probably one of the larger challenges, really. And then just getting out there, and we just have to get out there and do it. People love talking about their cars, so that's been really, really fun. Fortunately, I have an associate of my producer who is a musician and a composer, and he's composed thousands of songs and TV jingles and everything over many years, and he's allowed us to use all his music for free. So I have original music on all the shows, which is really, really nice. So we don't have to worry about any copyright infringements. And sometimes the music can sound kind of canned on some of these other lesser quality shows that I've seen. You can hear the same jingle over and over again because it's non-copyrighted music that there's a library that you can go online and acquire. But it all kind of sounds the same. So I was very, very fortunate to have this guy, Pat Rickey, brilliant composer, help us. And he loves the show, and he's happy to help. So we're thrilled to have that. But that was the biggest one of the biggest challenges is sound, really, because it has to sound good.
Do you have a sound guy that you work with?
Yeah, my producer does all the sound engineering.
Oh, okay.
And cleans up everything. So everything runs through him. He cleans up everything. I do some voiceover. Sometimes we'll film things and it's just too noisy, and I'll have to voice over the video later so that people can hear me what I'm talking about, so I can explain the car we're looking at. And I built a little studio in my house. That means in the corner of my room, I put a bunch of pillows and blankets, and I sit in there and record my voiceover just because of sound deadening. And
I know some people have done that with podcasting, and they record shows in their closet because there's clothes hanging everywhere. And these are some of the things when you start producing content, whether it's a podcast or a YouTube thing, that if you don't cover those types of things, especially sound quality, people just bail because they're like, I can't hear you. What's all that sound? Noise is terrible. And the other thing is there's all these misnomers about music rights. And, if you only use less than 10 seconds of somebody's song, it's okay. No, it's not. YouTube is prolific about coming after you for protecting all that copywritten music, even voices. Yeah, you got to be really careful, right?
Yeah. When we were learning, I was doing some interviews, and there'd be music playing in the background. My producer would lay over other music to try to block out other music. I mean, there'd be Beach Boys playing in the background of a Good Guys event. We're trying to talk over that, so he can try to reduce that. And that's the biggest challenge, especially during live events. So if I'm by myself and I pull a car aside and we can just talk about it with no noise, and it's perfect. But it's a combination. We've got a combination of being at live events, I have a microphone, or just pulling cars off and profiling them. We're just trying to change up and make it interesting, not make every show the same, a little different, and just have fun with it.
A bit of a work in progress, learning as you go, kind of finding your footing thing. Yeah,
I'm learning as I go. My producer has many, many years experience at this, but there's always something to learn when it comes to talking about cars. Fortunately, people have embraced it and had a good time with it, and I'm just having a ball doing this thing. It's just fun, Mark. I like it. I've been a writer for many years, and I still do that, enjoy that, and photographer, but this is just a kind of a natural extension of that, I guess.
Well,
moving into the next media.
Yeah, definitely it is. Let's talk a little bit about some of the writing and things you've done in the past. Talk to our listeners a little bit about that part of your career path.
Yeah, I've been writing for a long time now. I'm a freelance writer, and I've written for many different publications. Vintage Race and Road Car is one of them. I write for the Porsche magazine, Excellence. I've written for Corvette magazine. I've written for some Rolls-Royce and Bentley Driver and Jaguar Classic in the UK. I can't remember all the ones out now. I've just, many, many different publications because I am freelance. And if I write a story, then I kind of find a place to park it.
Nice pun.
I've also done writing. If I write a Corvette story, I reach out to the Corvette place or a muscle car story. There's a good place to drop each one of these stories. And the stories just kind of come out of nowhere. I run across somebody with a good story, and we decide to get together and talk about it and write a story. And I also do my own photography, go with the story. I like to do that because I know what the story is, and I know what pictures to take so they're going to enhance that story. And so it's fun to do the photography and the writing. I've also done some writing for the for Pebble Beach Concours, for their magazine and for their program and so forth, their newsletter. So I love the Pebble Beach Concours people. They're great. And I do some work for Don Williams and Brian Murphy at the Blackhawk Collection. And I've done work for the Blackhawk Museum. Most it's about cars, I've done I enjoy the writing, and then talk about learning. When I write a story and do a bunch of research, you learn a lot about the car you're writing about as a necessity, because you can't make mistakes. Otherwise, they'll come after you. Somebody will read the article and see something and say, that's not correct. That's the wrong horsepower for that year. And I don't want that to happen. So I usually triple verify all the facts. I run it through different experts and the car owner, the restorer, and try to verify everything in the article and make sure that everything is correct. So it takes a bunch of time to do, but I enjoy doing it, so that's what I do. I love it.
So let's talk a little bit about a special vehicle in your past. Now, you've worked in car restoration, the automotive sector, businesses, and so forth. Is there one vehicle that stands out for you?
I really miss my 1951 Cadillac Convertible. Really miss that car. I've had a lot of great cars over the years. I've always been partial to Cadillacs. I guess Cadillacs and Pontiacs. My grandfather was a service writer at a Cadillac Pontiac dealership in Worcester, Massachusetts. They're in their heyday during the 60s and 70s when all those great cars were made. And so I got to experience all these cars and just really, really grew fond of them. Have great memories for me. I do wish I could get another old Cadillac convertible. That's hopefully in my future. Once the show takes off, that's the first thing I'm going to buy, right?
Well, those are beautiful. Now, are they somewhat rare?
No, for some reason you don't see too many 1950 to 54 or 5 Cadillacs, other than the Eldorados show up at car shows, 53 Eldos. But I don't know if I don't want to say forgotten, but they didn't make a large number of them. They're not super, I wouldn't call them super, super rare, but fairly uncommon.
Is that the Series 62?
Yes. I guess all the convertibles are, from that period would be Series 62 with the exception of the Eldorado, which came out in 53, which is really the dream car.
I'm just peeking at a Hemming site, and they say 6,117 of those were made. So not a whole lot, but more than I thought perhaps were made. But beautiful cars. I mean, that era of car, and oh my gosh, the bumper must weigh 1,000 pounds just by itself. It's so huge.
They're great. They're so heavy, and they drive wonderful. They have ample power when you drive them. Really reliable, dependable cars. And I like the seating posture in a late 40s, early 50s car. You kind of sit like you do today in maybe a pickup truck where your feet are going down and you sit upright. And it's a very comfortable position to sit in for a long period of time. And I can just drive them all day and just love it. They have a style and character, and they're a little different. You don't see that particular vintage Cadillac around as much. The focus seems to be, and for a long time, and for good reason, on the 1959, 60 models with the big fins, and we all love those too. But these are a little more subdued, and they fit me well.
I think so.
I need one.
I need one. There you go. Well, my mom used to say, when I used to say I need that, she'd go, "No, you want it. You don't need it." And then I would respond with, "Well, I want what I need and I need what I want." And that's when I'd get sent to my bedroom. So for being smart aleck. So I'm going to do something I did not do with you last time you were on the show. I'm going to be a car psychologist here. I'm going to crawl into your head. If you were reincarnated, manifest as a vehicle, not what you want to be though. This is how you perceive your own personality in some type of a vehicle, how they relate. What would you be, but more importantly, why?
Well, since I'm Italian, maybe I would come back as a Ferrari.
Okay.
But it would be, I think, a large Ferrari, like a 365 2+2 or a 400 to 410 Super America or 500 Super Fast, one of those luxury touring high-speed Ferraris from the 60s.
All right. That kind of makes some sense.
I guess.
A bigger cruising Ferrari.
Yeah, I like to call like the Super Fast and the Super Americas like the Cadillacs of Ferraris.
Okay,
because they're large.
There's the time.
They're large, 4-passenger cars, and I've never been into the I'm not a race car guy. I'm more of a luxury car guy. But then there we go. There's your Italian luxury car, or I guess maybe a Maserati perhaps. But because it's the closest thing to an Italian Cadillac.
There you go. There's some eyes rolling with that question, but that's okay. So how about great reading? Is there perhaps a great book you've read in the last couple of years that you'd like to share?
Yeah, I read the biography of Enzo Ferrari. It was published just a few years ago. It's by Luca Dal Monte. Really, really well done. It's just called Enzo. And what I liked about the book, it got inside his head and what it didn't go, this year they did this, and this. It wasn't all about the cars. It was more about the person and his philosophy and how he handled things. And I thought it was very, very interesting. He's a very interesting man on a lot of different levels. That's a great, great book on cars that I can highly recommend.
We're going to go on the ultimate drive today. I'm going to enable you to have some fun, and I'm going to write the check, kind of be your benefactor here, which is a nice thought. You can have any car in the world to take on a drive. You can be driving anywhere, and here's the key. You can take anybody with you, anybody, even somebody who's passed. If you want to take old Mr. Enzo Ferrari, you can take him too. So what does the ultimate drive look like for you?
I wouldn't mind going for a ride in a 1953 Eldorado with Harley Earl.
Okay.
That would be a ride to remember, or perhaps in his LeSabre prototype show car.
Oh, yeah.
We take that for a nice drive. That's the car I want to drive. I want to drive that car with Harley Earl. Harley Earl and Bill Mitchell are my, car idols as far as what they did with cars. I love it.
Yeah. So what's the first question you'd ask Mr. Earl?
I guess I would ask him what inspired him to come up with these designs. What does he look for? What is he looking for that sparks it? I mean, all his cars, his designs all had a very distinct look in my mind, especially in the 40s and early part of the 50s. That was the quintessential General Motors Harley Earl look that I love. Then later with Bill Mitchell, he kind of took it from there and had the clean, crisp look and the brilliant designs of the 60s that came out. So I just love General Motors styling from that era. All the General Motors cars from the mid-70s on back are just, a lot of them are very well executed.
I would imagine that the rules of engagement when it came to car design back then, very, very different than what they are today. And if you look at cars during certain periods, let's pick the malaise period, the 70s, where not everything but mini cars were just malaise, blah, bean counter design cars, K cars, and things like that. But when you go back to Harley Earl's time, whole different deal. It seemed like they just had so much more freedom to do what they wanted to do. And I'm sure there were rules. I mean, they had to make money. The company had to be able to sell cars, but they sure came up with some beautiful things.
I think the design of the car, the aesthetics, was one of the most important elements in the design thought. So they thought, let's make this car look good, and then figure out how we can put an engine and people in it. Some of these designs are just fantastic. I mean, the Italians do that the most. I mean, they make these gorgeous, incredibly beautiful, over-the-top, delicate design cars in the coach builders built in the 60s and 70s and the 50s. And then they said, okay, let's see if we can cram some people in it now.
Yeah.
We don't want to raise the roof line. We're not going to change this. We're not going to change this. Here's the design. And they give it to Ferrari or to Alfa Romeo or whoever and say, okay, now you guys can figure out how to put the engine in it and make it run and see if you can fit people in it.
Yeah, that's why a lot of those are hard to drive.
Yeah, a lot of them you can barely fit in, but they're beautiful. They're like little jewelry pieces of art, whereas the American cars had to be more practical. However, design was very, very important, and they analyzed and scrutinized these designs to try to get the best design. I mean, some of the stuff that came out of, Virgil Exner and all these from Chrysler, a lot of these designs are just stunning. They're beautiful, beautiful designs. But you can still put 6 people of them go down the road and go grocery shopping, and they're reliable and fun cars to drive. So it was a delicate balance, and they had to sell, too. They had to sell them.
Exactly. So many cars that I've looked at over the years that I have had a chance to drive, once you get to drive them, it's almost like meeting your heroes. It's a little disappointing. And you go, ugh, this isn't much fun. And now I think we've become so spoiled by how really great almost every vehicle is. Even if it looks ugly, it just operates so well. And perhaps that's why there's this resurgence of classic cars being reimagined, i.e. Singer. Scion's done it now with the P1800. We saw that at the Quail, and so many others, Broncos, and pick a car for FJs that are being redone in a way that makes them drivable and enjoyable so that guys like you and I can get in these cars and enjoy them and drive them and not treat them like little pieces of jewels. Or as I say, you get in it and go, ugh, this isn't much fun to drive.
Yeah, I have a 2011 Camaro convertible I bought new, SS. And it has a lot of hallmarks of the 1969 design in its design. And, I've owned a lot of 69 Camaros, the original cars, and this thing just drives so much nicer. It's faster, stops better. It does everything better, and it still looks cool. I don't know if it's debatable whether it looks as cool as a 69 Camaro, but it just shows the American ingenuity. It can be done. They can make really great looking cars if they want to.
Yep, if they want to. There you go.
If they want to. And then what's really cool to you and me, Mark, may not sell 100,000 units like they want it to, or whatever their sales goals are. So I get that. Maybe that's, they have to sell them. But I love it when they do it. They make every once in a while they come up with some great stuff. The new Broncos are really neat design. Singer reimagining these old Porsches. Those things just drive incredible. I mean, they're fantastic. So it's fun to see this stuff happen.
And then they come up with a Pontiac Aztek, and you just go, how did that happen?
Yeah. How did that happen? The Cadillac Cimarron is another one. What happened there?
Right. But, too many cooks in the kitchen making the stew. You've taken us on a fun ride, and I really appreciate you coming back and talking about In the Garage with Steve Natale, a YouTube channel that you can go subscribe to, enjoy, and watch. I encourage you to do that. Easy to find, but I'll put links on Steve's show notes page here. Are there other ways people can keep up with what you're doing?
The Facebook, I'm on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. I'm on everything. But the YouTube show, we have stuff coming up many times, 2 or 3 times a week. So there's always fresh content on there. And you kind of see me running around, going to all these different places and talking to all these different people. So, but yeah, check my Facebook page. And there's, I have a website too, stevenatale.com, but probably Facebook and YouTube.
There you go. I'll put, again, links to all of these on Steve's show notes page here on the Cars Yeah website so you can check him out. Steve, thanks for taking a little time out of your very busy schedule, definitely busy schedule. Let me know when that wine is ready to enjoy. I'll come up for a visit. Until you and I talk again, my friend, I'll see you somewhere down the road, probably in the garage with Steve Natale.
Thanks so much, Mark. Always a pleasure.
This was fun.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's ride here at Cars Yeah. Drive on over to carsyeah.com to find show notes and inspiring automotive fun. Download your free copy of Filler Up, a fun book filled with gorgeous photographs of fuel filler fun, including quotes from more inspiring automotive enthusiasts. Download your copy today, and we'll see you next time on Cars Yeah.